and then we will move to Real Talk Politics for his opening statements. Mr. Kraut, if you please, sir.
All right, yeah. How's it going? Hey everybody, Spin. Thanks for having me. Real talk. Nice to see you again. This is actually my first time debating the same person a second time. Which would obviously be you. We debated once in the past about the Save Act. Hopefully this will go as smooth, and hopefully we both learn and come up with good arguments. For my opening statement, I just want to say a few things that are facts that can't be argued, and then we'll go into what we feel when it opens up. So as far as the 1964, 1960, and 1957 Act, no one can dispute what Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate voted on. For the 64, 153 Democrats voted yes versus 91 voted no in the House. Republicans in the House for the 64 Act voted 136 for yes and 35 for no. In the Senate, 46 Dems voted yes, 21 voted no, 27 Republicans in the Senate voted yes, and 6 voted no. Those are some large numbers that, when we get into the actual debate, I'll bring up why I'm bringing these statistics. The 1960 Civil Rights Act in the House, 165 Democrats voted yes and 82 voted no. Republicans in the House voted 123 for yes and 12 no. The Senate, 42 voted yes, 18 voted no for the Dems, and Republicans voted 29 yes and 0 voted no. And then last, for the 1957 Civil Rights Act, 167 Republicans voted yes, 19 voted no in the House, and the Democrats in the House voted 119 votes for yes and 107 voted no. The Senate, 43 voted yes, 0 voted no, and the Democrats in the Senate voted 29 for yes and 18, all Southern Democrats, for no. Now, I'll be like a minute. I don't know how long that took. I'll be like a minute more. Those statistics, you can't dispute that. And when it becomes open, I'll bring everything else up or why those matters, and it will indicate of why the switch is a myth. Both parties evolved, but to say they switched ideologies is it's a myth, like the prompt says. But yeah, we can get more into it. Hopefully, I did it really good for my first opening dialogue. Never really did it before. Spin, I yield my time.
Thank you, Kraut. Mick, Real Talk Politics, your opening statements, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this debate is on what Democratic and Republican parties, which is a myth. And to kind of get into that, I want to just clarify that we're not talking just about the 60s and the legislation that passed in the 60s. This switch wasn't just an immediate switch. This took a decades long switch, especially here in the South. I'm from a state like Mississippi, and this is very clear. This is very clear to me when something like this is debated, and the facts are very clear. The Confederate supporters and the Confederate army and politicians were majority Democrat back during that time. True. But up until the civil rights movement, and after the civil rights movement, I'm sorry, and into the 80s, 90s, we see the Republican Party flying the Confederate flags, flying actual Confederate battle flags, I mind you. My current sitting governor, who is a Republican, is flying the Confederate flag. He is a Confederate sympathizer. My current senator, who is Cindy Hyde Smith, is a Confederate sympathizer. She wore a Confederate uniform and went to Confederate History Museum, but she has yet to go to a Black military history museum, and she represents the blackest state in the country. So when you say switch, I want to talk about ideologies. The conservatives, the Southern evangelical conservatives, did indeed switch political parties because of their ideologies switched at that point in time. And it wasn't just, that ideology that forced them to switch. It was multiple factors, economic, other socio economic factors there, but you would be blind to ignore the simple fact that this is a very contented point, especially in my part of the country, where we see that some of the same old folks that fought against segregation are now MAGA fanatics. So yeah, I don't know how much time I have left, but yeah, I'll see you the rest of my time.
All righty, gentlemen. Just want to remind you, please mind TOS. Everyone is streaming to their respective platforms. We are on YouTube, X, Rumble, Pilled, Facebook, and all the other respective platforms. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
All right, so I guess I'll start because I'll agree with you on one thing that you said about that. A lot of Southern Democrats actually did go to the GOP for economic reasons. So I'll agree with you on that. But what is it? Oh yeah. I took notes. Give me 1 second because I had to take a lot of information and
I would ask you if you think that. Do you think that's the only reason that switch happened?
Well, no. So I'll guess we'll touch on the Southern strategy. What that really was like, there's talk whether it was even a thing or it's misconstrued. But what the Southern strategy effectively did was lean Southern Democrats to the Republican side from for talks like law and order, workers, what's the word? Right to work for white voter bases and small government. Where around the same time, the Democratic Party and the Northern Republicans was even kind of following this, which is why they went to the Republican side or Democratic side, is they started leaning more into like the big government, pro-immigration, and a lot of them started following the Marxist theory.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at something going on with my camera right now. I'm trying to fix that. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, I hear you when you try to say that it's mostly economic factors and small government and whatnot, but that's not. You can say that's a contributing factor, but you have to go into what economic factors made all these Southerners so mad. What were the economic factors?
I can actually tell you, right to work states, the Democratic Party was trying to push union laborers really hard, and a lot of the Republicans and people on the right felt that that was leaning more into communism, hence Marxist theory, because it was limiting. I'm sure we all know about unions. Like you gotta pay your dues and all that other stuff. I don't want to dive too much into that, but that's one of the reasons why Southern Democrats started going to the Republican side, because Republicans are right to work. They don't believe you should have to pay dues to be in a job. That's one economic reason of why they switched over.
That's not necessarily consistent, because the Southern states, specifically states like Mississippi, voted for FDR for consistent times. And that was a Democrat campaigning on things like unions. So there has to be something there that forced all these Southerners to go from Democrat to Republican, right? And it doesn't sound like it was specifically unions, because they were voting for FDR, which is one of the
reasons
progressive presidents that we ever had.
It was one of the reasons. Like when, who was it? Johnson that signed the 64 Act. a lot of Democrats didn't like that policy, so they switched over to the Republican side. I'm not denying people like the average Joe, like way back in the days, switched political parties. It's the ideology. Ideology. I can't say that word. It's the parties themselves.
Ideological.
Yeah, it's the parties themselves that my claim it's a myth. They switched. They just evolved. But when Johnson signed that bill, a lot of Democrats were mad because they still wanted segregation and everything else. So some of them switched over to the Republican side, and then that's where the Southern Strategy came in. And who was it? Nixon that pushed it. He felt that was a good way to get more white voters from the South that were previously Democrats over to the Republican side, promising everything I mentioned before: small government, anti immigration, and law and order. But yeah, I mean, there's quite a few reasons of why the Democrats went over to Republicans, and there's reasons why Southern Southern or Northern Republicans went over to the Democratic side.
So you do concede that there was some type of switch. So the contentious point is the reason behind the switch. And while I will say there are several different policies that may have went into several different things of Southerners picking the separate party, we have to stay in reality here. A lot of things that there were a lot of things that made Southerners mad, but we have to be clear that civil rights and things like affirmative action and all of the progressive things that passed in the 60s, 70s, even 80s made a lot of Southerners mad, and hence they left the Democratic Party and started voting Republican, because the Republican Party courted all of the races in the South. And there's documented proof of this coming from Nixon. I mean, not specifically Nixon, but Nixon's campaign aide and Ronald Reagan himself and things like that. So,
right. Well, so yeah, I never said people didn't switch. The idea that the parties themselves switch. Now, when the Civil Rights was passed, do you know? I believe there was 22 or 23 Democrats that voted against it. Do you know? Do you know when it was passed? How many of those Democrats switched over to the Republican side?
How many Democrats switched over to the Republican side?
Yeah,
when?
switched over to the GOP. When the
During what time frame?
when the 64 Act was passed, do you know how many Democrats out of the, I believe, 22 switched over to the GOP?
Maybe a handful, if that. I mean, not immediately. This happened over time. Such as Strom Thurmond, he ran as a Dixiecrat, and he stayed as a Dixiecrat for a little while.
Yeah, he was the only one.
Not just Strom Thurmond. Who's the other guy? Let me see here. Crap, I forgot his name. Yeah, I think it's Jesse Helms. Yeah.
I would have to look at that, but I'll give it to you. So we can. I name one and you name one. So that's only two out of the 20 something. It was like the low 20, two of them switch. Now, all those other people after the Civil Rights got passed in 64, they stayed in office as Democrats, and then they either retired or died, and just more Democrats filled their seats. And there was like 12 seats, I think, that were like, I forget the word. I don't want to call it vacant, but it was like 20 years where they couldn't fill their seats up or something like that. I got to relook at that. I didn't take notes on that. But yeah, I mean, you got all these Democrats that voted against it, and when it passed, they stayed Democrats, all but two. Strom Thornburg, or however you pronounce his name.
Strom Thurmond. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is that he was specifically a firebrand of a politician, and he kind of represented the South at that time, because when he did end up running, he won the South as a states' rights Democrat. And when he did run for president, he won the South because he was against the Civil Rights Act, because he was against desegregation. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that it felt like the South was going to go to whoever catered to them. Well, catered to whoever was in political power in the South at that point in time. And lo and behold, Nixon and his campaign strategist, let me pull them up right here because I have names today. Let's see here. Kevin Phillips. Yeah, he openly said that Black voters registered Democrat in the South. The sooner Black voters registered as Democrats in the South, the sooner white backlash voters would go Republican.
Do you know what?
That is one of the leaders for the Richard Nixon campaign in 1970.
Right. Do you know what Lyndon Johnson said?
You're really going to go into a third-hand statement after 10 years coming from a Ronald Reagan aide?
No, he legit said, we lost the South for a generation, but we gained Black voters for 200 years.
When did he? Where does that quote come from? It comes from a book that a Reagan campaign aide wrote a decade after the fact.
So he didn't say that?
It's debated if he actually said that. The person that wrote the book said he said it, but there's no verified proof that he said something like that.
All right. I'll look more into that after the debate. So I mean, I at the end of the day, we can interpret things, and Southern Democrats that were probably racist and for segregation, they definitely went over to the Republican side because of Johnson signing the civil rights, which it can be debated on why he even did that. Some say he was kind of pushed into that position because of Barry Goldwater, which I'm happy to get into him, because that's another reason why I believe people say the switch actually happened. But but they didn't join they left the Democrats because of Johnson pushing the bill, but I think they joined the Republicans because of everything I mentioned: small government, economic reasons, and they were more of the religious type.
And I'm just trying to tell you that doesn't just track with the receipts that's there. I mean, like I said, Strom Thurmond ran as a Dixiecrat, and he won the South when he ran as a Dixiecrat president nominee.
Well, the Dixiecrat isn't Republican. He came up with a party. I forget what it's called. It was like the Democratic Association,
States' Rights Democrat, pretty much.
Yeah, like he wasn't even Republican when he did that. I think he became a Republican like years after that.
No, I'm just using that as proof that the South, which is a current day stronghold for the Republican Party, we can't agree to that, right? The South, without the South, the Republican Party wins no more elections on the presidential level, of course. What I'm saying is that at that point in time, it seems like the South was up for grabs, and Strom Thurmond exposed that fact. So whoever were to cater to the South in the future would win the South. And a smart politician, I'll give Richard Nixon that he's a very smart guy. A smart politician like Richard Nixon would see something like that and come up with something like the Southern Strategy. I mean, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, can you get mad at him for wanting to secure votes? I mean, if if Nixon values were like up to par with like most conservatives feel. I mean, during that time, like I said, the Northern conservatives, or was it the Northern? Hold on 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Northern conservatives, like if they all hold like a similar idea, the way of life, family, religion, small government, everything else, is it wrong for him to try to get the Southern white people to join his party and so he can secure votes?
No, it's what he chose to campaign on to get their votes. If you get what I'm saying, he chose to campaign on policies that he knew that those white, racist Southern voters would support. Things like things that would hurt Black people all across the South. Things like redlining legislation, deregulation, as they would call it, or tough on crime legislation, where they would, I mean, there's a reason why a certain form of a drug puts out a longer sentence than the other form. Let's put it that way.
Well, a lot of Republicans passed for the Civil Rights Act compared to Democrats. There was even this damn, I'm forgetting the name. Um you remember when one Republican president had to deploy the National Guard because there was a Democratic governor that wouldn't allow 9 black kids into a desegregated school?
Wait, what? Yeah. You're talking about what, in Louisiana?
It may have been Louisiana. I didn't take notes on that. I thought I would remember it, but apparently I can't remember the names.
Okay. What about it?
Well, I was just giving an example that that's just another example how the Republicans were for desegregation. Our
Yeah,
president
but
literally had to deploy the National Guard because of a Democratic governor.
yeah, but as I stated in my initial statement, is that this switch didn't happen as soon as that bill passed. It happened the decades after that legislation passed. This was a long-term strategy implemented by the Republican Party. There's a reason why Ronald Reagan had his presidential announcement celebration right here in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
So what do
Why,
you
why, why, why would a Republican that's supposed to be so anti um, Confederacy in general, or anti racism, come down to the same place where we had 3 civil rights kids removed from us? Why would he go to that same city and announce his presidential campaign as a Republican?
I don't know. If I had to guess, it would to hit what's the word, like hit him at home, like show the people that were for segregation like we won type thing, you know what I mean?
Nah, I'm sorry, but you don't announce your presidential campaign in enemy territory.
Well, I mean,
That's never.
why not? It's a flex. I mean, you got to admit it's a flex.
But that's not something you do. You do it usually on what you consider home turf, and he understood that he had the talking points and the buzzwords to get the support from some of the more prejudiced individuals that would vote for him at that point in time.
All right.
Because by the 1980s, like, the southern states were solidly Republican as far as the presidential level. Now, there were
Well,
still some old Democrats in office in places like Mississippi, but they had a segregationist history usually.
the southern states, for the last 40 or 50 years have tended to vote the same way, and that is majority Democratic. Now, I got to ask you a question. When do you think the final switch occurred? If it was over a long period, when do you think the final switch happened? Like to put the nail in the coffin?
where do I think the final switch happened?
Yeah,
Like
like
it depends because it was more a over time thing. It didn't happen like within a few seconds. You get what I'm saying? It was like the conservative ideal and conservative because even back when civil rights legislation was passed, we still had conservative Democrats and progressive Republicans, things like that, right? So when something like that passed, it further divided those ideologies, those political ideologies. So more conservatives, I mean, like when you would usually see a conservative today, it's most likely a Republican. And when you see a progressive, it's most likely a Democrat. And just 50 years ago, it didn't used to be like that. And this is one of the reasons why the Republicans strategized for this to happen. So yeah, they completely co-opted everything conservative, evangelical, and white.
well, it wasn't just the Republicans got racists to vote for them. It was what the Democratic Party started standing for. Like I said, both parties evolved, and the Democratic Party evolved into taking Marxist theory, pro immigration, and big government, and pushing union labors, which, again, the Republicans feel that limits somebody's right to work. Why should they have to pay money to work at a job type thing? You know what I mean? Again, I don't want to dive too much into unions. We all know how they work.
Yeah, but a whole a whole part of the country does not switch simply because of something like unions. You get what I'm saying? It has to be something more inflammatory,
Well,
making
it was
people
everything
more
I just
angry
mentioned.
and things like that. So, I mean, you can say that, and that might be a part of the gradual change, like you said, the evolution or whatever. But that's still a political switch. That's a whole part of our country was voting Democrat. Now another part is voting Republican.
Well, the people switched parties, and it wasn't really yeah, probably when the bill first got passed, a lot of racist Democrats switched to Republicans because they felt they got betrayed. But again, Republicans kept getting Southern Democrats to come over to the Republican side because of all the reasons that I just listed. It wasn't just one thing; it was a collective of things, and I would argue racist was the last of them.
Racist was the last of them.
Or
Why do you
racism was
think
the last one.
why do you think everybody from Nixon to Reagan used these buzzwords to kind of signal that they would target black and brown individuals?
Well, what
I mean,
buzzword? What did they?
it's well known. Like, if you are in the political world, things like tough on crime, especially the war on crime or war on drugs. So yeah, it's the whole thing was a targeting campaign focused on a certain community. I think there was a whole situation where the Nixon assistant or aide was talking about the need to target hippies and black and brown individuals. I mean, this is something that the voters actually paid attention to, and they voted for what they wanted to see. And I think that's not the last thing. It's one of the first things they thought about when they voted for people like Nixon and Reagan.
Um, damn, I had a question. So, are you under the assumption that Reagan and Nixon were racist, or they wanted segregation?
They wanted segregation. If with no pushback, I'm not sure. But do I think they were racist? I'm not even sure about that. But I know that they were pandering to the racists. If you get what I'm saying, they were using these racist ideologies to gain power.
Do you think they would have gotten those Southern Democrats to vote Republican if it wasn't for the Democratic Party evolving into their ideology?
You mean anti-racism ideology?
Well, it wasn't just anti-racism.
What else?
Pro-immigration, bigger government, progressiveness. They
Mm,
tended not to really believe in like the nuclear family.
That's not necessarily. We're talking about the Democratic Party of the 70s, 80s, and 90s,
Correct.
and you said they were pro immigration.
Pro-immigration, yes.
Have okay.
Whether
All
or
right.
not it was
I
legal
don't.
or not, it's open to debate, but we're not really talking about
I don't
immigration.
know how. I mean, in today's by today's standards, those old versions of the Democratic Party was still very conservative. Now, the Democratic Party did put a president like FDR into office that passed some of the most socialist legislation that this country has ever seen. But I think both of the parties were pretty racist. Like, even though FDR passed all those legislations to break up the monopolies and help the working man out, it was only for a working man of a certain persuasion. You get what I'm saying? So,
Well, really, I would argue the Democrats haven't helped the working class minority in like the last 40 or 50 years.
the
And I
working
can,
class minority.
yeah,
So, you
whether
mean
you're
just any minority they haven't helped?
correct, correct. They might pass some like bullcrap socialist program here and there, but all in all, they really haven't done anything to help the minority working class. They,
Okay.
if anything, they cause them to rely on the government and essentially be a slave to the government, relying on the government to give them the means to feed themselves and for shelter.
Okay. If you think that, what has the Republican Party done to help the working class minority?
Um, I mean, to put it bluntly, working class and capitalism,
Working class and capitalism.
which is how again the Southern strategy is one
I,
of the reasons why.
no, that's not how that works. I mean, you can say that, but that's not any legislation passed or anything like that. What has the Republican Party done over the past 50 years to help out the working class?
We don't. Can I ask you a question to answer what you just asked me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Who do you think pushes more socialist programs, Democrats or Republicans?
Uh, Overall, Democrats.
Now, who basically says, for lack of a better word, get off your ass, work, make money, help the economy, build the economy?
Democrats.
Oh no, you were right the first one, but not the second. No, no,
Who,
Democrats are
who
all about
which
socialist
party has
programs.
created most job? Which party has created the most jobs under presidential, numbers? I mean, which
Um,
president, has created more jobs?
I'll look into that when this becomes
Okay.
open. But those numbers will be affected because the Democrats are really big into unions, obviously, and unions and politicians, they go hand in hand, and they can affect the numbers drastically, especially in the metropolitan area. But at the end of the day, like regardless or not, if Republicans actually push bills and I believe Trump's first term, he actually minorities, more specifically black individuals, had a better chance of getting a job under Trump's first presidency. I don't know about his second. I didn't read into that, but during his first term, it's highly debated that all the black
Well,
community has the lowest unemployment rate. That's the word I'm looking for. But at the end of the day, like you said it yourself, Democrats tend to push more socialist programs and socialist ideas. So they're effectively telling people like, hey, you don't have to work, divorce your man 5 or 10 years, and you get to keep the 5, 6 kids that you have with that man, and he'll give you alimony. You can just stay back at the house collecting welfare and everything else. It's literally a system that Democrats came up with to make minorities a slave to the system.
Do you think only Democrats voted for that welfare system?
Well, I'm sure Republicans voted for it too, just like the majority of Republicans, compared to the Democrats, outvoted for the Civil Rights Act. That's why I gave those stats for my opening statement.
So why are we blaming Democrats when I think majority of the House and Senate, which was split during that time, voted for expanding welfare into helping. I think it wasn't even specifically for Black people, and white people benefit more than anybody off this welfare program. It's such as SNAP, or any assistance that Section 8, all these different things.
Hold on one sec. Ask your question again, if there was a question. I kind of.
Oh yeah, my bad. I was just saying that white people. It's not just for Black people. White people benefit more than anybody off of these welfare programs, such as Section 8, food stamps, SNAP, different things like that. WIC. And if you're supposed to be the party of pro-life, I don't understand why after a baby is born that y'all are so against providing that assistance to that child if it's needed. Everybody doesn't have a responsible parent. So we as a country should make up for that to assure that life has the best ability that it has to proceed on to being a productive member of society, right?
Yeah, and I would agree. White families or even white individuals are also on welfare and everything else. And I tend to lean more left when it comes to socialist programs. Um, Whether or not welfare is a socialist program, that's debatable, but it's paid for through a tool that's called social democracy, and that is a left-leaning view to have social democracy on a capitalist system. It's also a safety net. Yeah, I have one or two left-leaning ideas, but there are people that are able to work that don't. That the majority of Democrats believes socialist programs or even socialism in general is the way to go. And I'm like, I don't believe that's helping America out to have you be reliant on the government for assistance. Like, get a job, work. Don't rely on Big Daddy government to pay your food every month.
But
I
that's what I'm saying is that it goes against what the Republican ideology is supposed to be. You guys are supposed to be the Christians, the people that push your Christian into even the way that you govern. At least that's the way you present yourselves as a Republican Party. So when I see something like that, where the leader of the Christian faith is Jesus, which wouldn't be against things like that. He didn't tell people to walk around and pick themselves up by their own bootstraps. And if you want to govern as you see your religion in several other policies, such as Roe v. Wade, then we need to stay consistent. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't be a Christian and say that I'm against helping the less advantaged or the lesser advantaged or the poor or the homeless, especially if we got it.
Right. Well, maybe we can talk more about this subject when the panels opens. I feel like we both strayed too far off the prompt. Yeah.
But yeah, I still think there was a party switch. I think you even could see the point that you call it an evolution, but I think it's a party switch. And I think that no matter what you call it, at one point, the extremist racists in the South were Democrats, and now they represent the Republican Party.
Well, not all of them. Because again, in the last 40 or 50 years, the voting base for the South really hasn't changed that much.
The voting base in the South hasn't changed that much.
No, let me look it up real quick.
Outside
Not really.
outside of who they support for president.
Well, does the South tend to vote more Democrat or Republican?
Republican.
What about state-wise? Like, who do they vote for?
Republicans.
Really? Let me look that up real quick. Oh, real quick while I'm looking this up, you did mention a lot of Southern Republicans wave the Confederate flag around and everything like that. I don't think that's a good way to decide if they're racist or not, because sometimes I'll have the German flag in my background, a German and Irish flag in my background, because I'm German Irish. I'm not sitting here and saying, what the mustache man did 70 or 80 years ago back in the 40s was a good thing. I just take pride in my heritage. Maybe those people from the South waving that Confederate flag know what it actually stands for, not the racist crap that the Democratic Party, excuse me, was using as a symbol for the Civil War.
It's weird that you guys want to call something that lasted less than 4 years a piece of heritage. That battle flag. I mean, all right. I mean, it's weird because it's tied so closely to the Civil War and what was used to perpetuate hate against people that look like me across the South. And if it wasn't used in that way, then I would kind of understand what you're saying, but it's a symbol of more than just heritage.
And gentlemen, I'm going to interrupt for just 1 second. I am dropping the StreamYard link if you would like to come up and ask questions. This will be the time for the Q&A. We are going to put a pin in the conversation for just a moment. So start filling up the back. We will go into closing statements at this time, and then we will read any super chats, and then we will open the panel for Q&A. Since Mr. Kraut started, Mr. Real Talk, please start with your closing statements now, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My camera is all the way messed up all through the stream. But yeah, I just want to say I think he kind of just conceded this whole debate. He will acknowledge that there was an evolution, but there was still ideological and political switch throughout the South. And I mean, yeah, I think we kind of came to somewhat of an agreement that, some of the most extremists across the South did switch over to the Republican Party. I don't really have much else to say to that. There's plenty of proof of it. And yeah.
All righty, Mr. Kraut.
Hey, yeah. So I never made the claim that people didn't switch parties, whether or not it's because they felt betrayed by Johnson or it was for the numerous things that I already mentioned several times, and I'm sure I'll mention when the panel actually opens. Yeah, I never made that claim, so I can't concede to something that I never made a claim for. My claim was the party switch is a myth, meaning the Republican Party were not the Democrats of back in the day, and the Democrats of back in the day are not the Republicans of today. There's no substantial evidence to back that claim up. Real Talk gave some strong arguments, a couple I had no answer for. But at the end of the day, if you got to, guess off of facts, and they did this for that reason and not so much. I mean, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's not a goose, it's a duck. Democrats have a history, and we can't ignore that. But I yield my time.
All righty. Nobody has come up in the back. Oh, I apologize. Hold on one second. Let's do this, and we will bring some other people up.
You're muted, rookie.
All right, we have Mr. Balderson. Mr. Balderson, any questions for the two panelists?
No, we both know that I think that the Republicans are secretly racist and openly gay, and that the Republicans are openly racist, secretly gay. So I'm not sure where the switch on that would have been, but both parties suck monkey balls. Yeah. I'd like to hear either you prove me wrong on this.
Typical Mr. Balderson. Well, gentlemen, you can go at it at the panel. We'll bring up people as they come in. Oh, we got one. Oh, Mr. Clay.
You guys are still shit out of luck. Clay holds the same position I do.
All righty.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, and El Perro. Oh my goodness, you definitely got. You're done. You guys are toast.
So I got to go with Benjamin Balderson, man. Spot on. They both suck. Because as far as I know, it came about this shift that we're talking about. It wasn't so much in the demographics, but the actual vote in the end, going from Democratic in majority to Republican majority. So it didn't matter whether it was a Democrat pretending to be a Republican or a Republican pretending to be a Democrat. The shift was the majority vote went from Democrat to Republican. And in that, like I said, it came about Lyndon Johnson. Remember the Civil Rights Act? So what it was is the Republicans playing that they wanted the Civil Rights Act after the fact that they won, when in fact it was the Democrats that was pushing the Civil Rights Act to begin with, which then turned around and caused the shift of a majority Republican vote for the Republicans. So it's all a game. They're both playing in the same damn house. They all paid tribute to the same false patriarch. And they got you all duped. I ain't never once voted, never registered to vote. Think on it.
Thank you, El Perro. Mr. Clay, do you have any questions for the panelists at all, sir?
Sure. Appreciate you guys having this discussion, this debate tonight. So my question is going to revolve around the platforms themselves. So Southern Dixiecrats, and I know that the prompt tonight is, littering and the Democratic and Republican Party switch is a myth, right? So that's the prompt, not whether the Republican Party it sucks or the Democratic Party it sucks, right? It's whether they switched or not. So it's about their platforms, their viewpoints, and their ideologies as to how they implement policies and law. And so for that, my question is this. If it is the case that Southern Dixiecrats were full-on racist, Jim Crow creating law type legislators and judges and executive branch holders, and neither party exhibits that very thing, to where they're literally going out. I mean, these were openly racist people. If they're not going out openly racist and they're completely denying any, like when they're openly, maybe they are on the back end secretly racist, but if they're not doing that, I guess this one would be for Real Talk, more than Kraut. If they're not doing that openly, then how did the Republicans become this party of the Southern Dixiecrats?
Well, it's what happened right after the Strom-Thurmond election. I mean, Strom-Thurmond won the South in that presidential election as a third-party candidate, and people paid attention to that. And there was a obvious strategy to cater to the South to get that block. And what I'm saying is, throughout the process of implementing that strategy, they had to make concessions to certain powerful individuals in the South and move the party over to a certain direction.
I mean, just like, I feel like that was more of like a buzz phrase. I'm still not understanding how one person, I mean, like I said, these were men, the Southern Dixiecrats. These were men who would go out. My camera went out. That's okay. I'll survive. I'll go out and come back in here after my questions. They were openly racist. They created Jim Crow laws. They created, societies where if you came into their town, if you personally were to come into their town, or me, long-haired white boy, were to come into their town, we just wouldn't be leaving. Whereas
now he's
that,
white.
The thing is
one at a time.
I can go into these towns. You can go into these towns. You can pull up to the local Dollar General. You shouldn't have any issues. If you do, you can call the police. The police might treat you very poorly, but there are really literal mechanisms in place at this point. And for the majority of those societies that are built now, especially when you talk to a lot of the people in both of these parties, regardless of where they stand on the totem pole, whether it's the actual policymakers or the voters themselves, they will completely deny any involvement with racism.
Well, yeah, I mean, not being obviously racist was a part of the strategy. I mean, are you familiar with the Lee Atwater tape? If you're not, it's about him talking about the need to the Republicans could win Southern votes with open racist language, but by the 1968 he had changed that and said that that type of language would backfire. He says that that strategy would have to shift to talking about forced busing and states' rights, which was language that the Republican Party implemented.
So why would it fail?
Why would what fail?
Why would using that kind of language to describe what the policies would eventually become, why would that fail in the procuring of votes?
Because politically, especially on the presidential level, you wasn't going to win majority of the electorates that you need to win the White House. Yes, you
Right.
would win the South, much like Strom-Thurmond, but you would alienate yourself from the rest of the country.
Right. And so the rest of the country, right? So the primary portion of the country, the primary portion of the voters, Republican or Democrat, we're just not accepting the whole racist trope anymore, correct?
Well, yes, that's why I say that this didn't just immediately happen around the 60s or even towards the end of the 60s. This was a progressive thing that moved the South over to the Republican Party over decades.
Yeah, and I would actually agree that the whole thing, what we're talking about here, really just started ultimately around civil rights itself, which is the later 1870s. So
I can agree with that. It started getting very inflammatory around
right.
civil rights, yeah.
And then when the 1900s came around, the Jim Crow laws came around. You got the civil rights movement itself. That's something different than the civil rights laws. So the history is there, but the
Yes.
switch itself would indicate that the Southern Dixiecrats are now the Republican Party, which I don't see.
Well, the people who voted for the Southern Democrats are now voting for Republicans. Let me clarify. I'm not saying that the politicians themselves switched or anything like that, but the same people that voted for those Southern Dixiecrats for that language that they spoke understood that type of language publicly was no longer appropriate because of civil rights.
Very
and
good.
the culture,
Perfect.
changing.
So
they changed the coded language.
Right. So the voters are recognizing that this party is quote unquote voting for the policies and legislation that implements certain types of legislation that they would agree with. And I see what you're saying as far as that goes. However, that does not change the fact of the matter that the politicians themselves, which is the leading in the party, right? So the party, so like, and I think Ben will agree with me on this, is where the whole like disgust of both parties comes from. The whole bait and switch thing happens because these people believe that these parties are for them and they're dumb, right? The Democratic Party is not for the voter. The Democratic Party is for money. The Republican Party is not for the voter. They are for the money. So they are going to vote with the money wherever the company wants, where I understand that the voters think they're getting legislation that they want, but they're really not. What they're getting is a better environment for them to do business in. And that's what the Republican Party cares about. That's what the Democratic Party cares about. They don't care. The platform is money.
Yeah, and we can have that debate around the DNC and the RNC. I mean, there's different things that I disagree with the DNC as an organization and the way it's ran that I, obviously disagree with. But when we're talking about, when I talk about the Democratic Party switching or the Republican Party switching, I'm talking about the actual voters, because the party is more than just the DNC and the RNC. There's actual people out here in the streets of Mississippi calling their neighbors Democrats, and that's because they think of themselves as conservative Republican evangelicals. So some of the most noticeable and loudest people of each party are not officially a part of the party, as we would say. So
right,
that's why I say that it's more than just the politicians to me. It's the actual political activists. It's the people on the ground. It's the people being the extremists, for example, and who they choose to support is very important and needs to be paid attention to, and things like that.
Wouldn't Donald? Wouldn't you say that the most openly racist president in modern history was the Democrats' last president?
Openly racist?
Yeah.
What do you mean by openly racist?
Wildly openly racist.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Well, we look at Joe Biden's history and we look at the things Joe Biden has said over the years. Number one, when we're talking about implementation of laws, Joe Biden was his only real political achievement before being president was authoring the 3 strikes laws, the mandatory minimums, stating that young black men are super predators. That was a neat phrase to coin. Prior to that, when they tried to desegregate schools, he was noted as saying that would turn schools into the jungle, and he didn't want his kids going to the jungle. you know, the list actually is fairly extensive. I could look up more of his quotes if you want. I can't think of. I do agree with Nixon, although when you're stating that policy, it wasn't really openly just drugs policy. It was specifically targeted at cannabis, and which is what drug in the more anti-war section of the white population, and then, like you said, the black population. That was specifically with cannabis, and a lot of that was to do with the anti-war movement. It wasn't really as much, although I'm not stating they aren't blazing Nixon wasn't a blazing racist. I'm not at all saying that. I'm saying the objective of that was to try and lock up the anti-war movement. It wasn't really a racial motivator to the degree that you're trying to make it out. But once again, I would like to say, what president in modern history in your lifetime has openly said such racist things as Joe Biden, or passed such racist laws as Joe Biden, which wrecked the black community?
I don't think we've ever had a president as old as Joe Biden, but yeah, I mean, he's said some very racist, he said some very racist things in the past. I agree, but has he said it while he was in the White House is the question, because if we're going off of racist statements or racist actions, then I have to question what Donald Trump chooses to do while sitting in that chair.
Well, which law has Donald Trump passed that even remotely comes close to the 3 strikes laws and the mandatory minimums and the young black super predators?
Nothing as far as tough on crime legislation, because he's a president that doesn't really pass legislation. He doesn't really do anything outside of executive orders. He did pass the big beautiful bill, but outside of that, he hasn't really passed anything. So yeah, he's not really a legislation president. He's an executive order president. Now, if you want to talk about his executive orders, he's tried to get through plenty of things, such as removing the birthright citizenship, which is,
well, I mean, what's that got to do with black people? Are we having a?
It was put there for black people.
The birthright citizen. That I do agree with that, but that is definitely not the context that it's getting used in today whatsoever. I agree that it was for slaves that had been brought over to give them citizenship. I fully understand why that was passed. The amendment was passed. That's not the context that it's being used today. Well, and the argument here is the racism being displayed in the government. And that's got nothing to do with immigrants.
What did he say? I mean, if we go about,
I'm waiting for something that Donald Trump did that's meaningful, that's truly meaningful, and it would against the black community specifically. When we know that what the 3 strikes laws, the mandatory minimums, and let's not forget the statement that young black men are super predators. They coined the phrase. They said it everywhere.
If we're going by,
I mean, this is only the 90s.
What did Donald Trump say about the Central Park 5? He took out a whole newspaper ad, right?
Yeah,
even after they was proven to be innocent, he still put out the fact that they were monsters, right?
Well, hold on. Did he say execute them or execute them if they're guilty?
I'm not sure the exact language. I know that people were reaching out to Trump, letting him know that these boys were innocent, and he still wanted to push the narrative that they were guilty.
Well, he didn't push the narrative.
But why are you assuming that he didn't believe they were guilty?
I'm sorry.
I'm still waiting for something that affected the whole black population, or for you to tell me something that Donald Trump said. And I'm not. Trust me, I'm not a Trump fan.
He's not. He's really not.
But you're not. But you're invoking statements from Biden talking about super predators.
Right.
And I'm telling you that Donald Trump in the past took out a whole campaign ad against the Central Park 5 after they were
so 5 people that he believed committed a crime, compared to claiming all young black men are super predators on national TV. Like, there was a whole campaign about it, bro. That's why they were able to pass those crazy laws.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that's why I'm saying it's not necessarily fair because
This is where my problem comes in, bro. When I say that the Democrats are secretly racist and openly gay, so the Democrats do the most racist, crazy shit. Like Joe Biden, what in his political history would tell you that black people should vote for them? And then the dude comes out and says, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Why would that be? What would make you want as a black man to vote for a dude whose actual legislation history has been so damaging to the black community?
And Donald Trump's business history has been damaging to his employee. Now, it's not really.
I don't disagree. He's a horrible businessman. That's across the board. He fucks over every small business that works with him.
What about his discrimination housing lawsuit?
I don't know about his discrimination housing lawsuit. You're going to have to tell me specifically what that is.
1973, Donald Trump Management Incorporated, October 1973, alleging company systematically denied apartments to black applicants. Donald Trump publicly denied it, but they ended up settling.
So do you think that Donald Trump himself ran that business? And this, again, isn't me excusing Donald Trump. Do you think Donald Trump himself, who at the time was a billionaire, was taking an active hand in that billionaire?
His dad, Fred Trump, was still the actual head of the business, but Donald Trump was seeing lower operations at that point in time.
Right. So he's running a multi-billion-dollar business. Do you think that he was actively looking at this one company, or should we say that most likely the person who was actively running it was making these rules?
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't even think their business was $1 billion business at that point in time. Not in 1974. But
yeah, it might not have been a bit. It might not have been $1 billion, but you can't deny it was a giant at least hundreds of millions of dollars. And that just like this is like saying Mark Cuban is making personal decisions in the businesses that he invested in.
This wasn't one or two occasions. This was systematic and it was proven. I mean, they had proof and they were ready to go to court with it.
At the time, what party was Donald Trump?
The party of green at that point in time. Like he was
rubbing shoulders. He was a Democrat back then. I mean, he was a Democrat all the way through the 90s. It was only when he ran. It was only when he ran that he became, quote unquote, a Republican. And the thing is, when he became a Republican, he literally like shaved off any and all idea of racism is what the claim was, right? So the idea of him coming into his run for presidency to be a Republican, he did not run on the platform of racism to be a Republican.
So why did he, the first black president this country has ever seen, what about his comments around Obama, his claim to fame to politics, how he actually got into politics, actually? Birtherism? We don't even talk about that anymore. What about that?
What is that?
The one president with a exotic name, Donald Trump, is the loudest voice claiming that he's not from America.
So Obama claimed Trump isn't from America?
No, Donald Trump claimed that Obama wasn't from America.
I mean, there were a lot of people claiming that Obama wasn't from America.
But like, Donald Trump was the loudest.
That's not. I mean, no, not my. There were some people around me that were louder than Donald Trump. Trust me.
But why would Donald Trump automatically assume that this guy's not from America?
It wasn't that he automatically assumed. It was that people were asking for something that he was unwilling to give for a long time.
He said several times that he was. Funny enough, he said that he would
Barack give it up.
He would be 2 weeks away from proof. The same tactic that he uses today.
Did Barack give that proof immediately?
Immediately? No.
Yeah.
I mean, what president made their birth certificate?
I mean,
public?
I'm thinking of like I mean, every single one of them ought do that. Yeah, I would say every single one.
There was no precedent before
Democrat that. Also, because he was friends with Clinton.
Yeah, when a president runs for office, he ought produce his birth certificate. This is actually something that is
What about
normal.
tax returns?
I mean, there's no requirement for a president to show his tax returns, but there is a requirement
Neither
for a
birth
president to
certificate
be
either.
born in the United States.
But it's not a
No,
requirement for him to show
absolutely,
it.
there is. There 100% is a requirement for a president to be
To the
born in the
public?
United States. Yes.
Yeah, to be
to the
born
public.
in the
Yeah.
to be born in the United States, but
Yeah.
to be president of the United States, you do not have to present your birth certificate out to the public.
Sir, how do you prove that you were born in the United States?
You give it to the government,
You get so the government is who?
the United States.
Which is who?
The
Who are the United States? When you say those words, what does that mean?
it's the country of the United States. It's a conglomerate of states that came together under a federal agreement.
We the people?
Yeah.
The people, right? So all documents, I believe personally, every last one of them,
That's
short
your
of
belief, but
personal,
there hasn't been any
sort of-
other standard
Bro.
before this brown president to present a birth certificate.
Oh, absolutely,
see
it
that
always has
questionable?
been. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about to present it publicly.
Presenting the proof that you're an American citizen.
Where was the demands to see the birth certificate of Bill Clinton?
If you would have demanded it, and everybody would have demanded it, and I'd have stood right next to you, brother. Yeah.
No, I'm saying where is the requirement? You're not understanding
Look,
what
I
I'm
don't.
saying.
Look,
I
here's the
understand
thing.
that you
I
have
believe
to
that
be born
Barack
in this
Obama
country.
was born in this country. That's not a thing, right?
But
I'm not worried about it personally.
What I'm
but
saying
you
is
brought it up.
It's the idea that Trump chooses this president with, by his own words, a weird name, to assume that he wasn't. And then he tells the
Trump's a weird
American,
name.
this is his claim to fame. This is how he got into politics. He actually told the American people that he had proof he was going to Hawaii to go grab the proof right now. And that was a bald-faced lie.
You know what else is a weird name? Roosevelt.
If you want to call it that. But that's
That
what
guy
I'm
was a
saying
Democrat.
that is a proof. That is one proof of him being racist right there, in my opinion.
You understand
because he said
that whole
Obama's
trope
a
was
weird name?
given by the Democrat Party during the primary against Obama, right?
Saying
The whole trope, what?
Against Obama's citizenship was the Democrats in the primary with Clinton and Obama.
Obama is a weird
What?
name, bro.
Do you think if the Democrats were scheming to not have Obama be a representative of the Democratic Party, that he would be a representative?
You
of
don't
the
remember the Clinton and the Democratic primary between them guys?
Yes, I understand.
ugly. That was fucking ugly. That's where that all started.
It got a little ugly, but that's what I'm saying. All close elections get ugly.
Little. That's where that whole trope started. And in fact, if I recall, fucking McCain fucking was one of the few that refused to partake in the whole game.
In the whole game? That's
With that
after-
whole game and said, I will not fucking participate in that shit.
True, but Donald Trump was not
Right,
up to
because
that
that was the Clinton wing of the Democrat Party decided that was what they were going to try to use as leverage to beat Obama.
So you think Trump was doing that to support Democrats?
He was great friends with the Clintons. That was all through the 80s and 90s. They were on TV together. They hung
I'm
out
talking
together.
about
They went
when
to Epstein
I'm
Island
talking about
together.
when Obama
Went to
was-
Epstein Island together.
I'm talking about when Obama was sitting president. Do you think Trump was still with the Democrats?
Yes.
Because Trump was screaming birtherism while Obama was the president. Like, he was president for 8 years, and almost that whole 8 years, Trump was screaming from the rooftops that he wasn't American.
Yeah.
You realize Obama was like a chosen candidate.
And he was still a Democrat.
A chosen candidate, but the Democratic Party wanted Hillary.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, the Democratic Party would have much rather had Hillary than Obama.
Okay, so who chose Obama?
Well, they did what was necessary at the time.
No, I'm saying you said he was chosen, so that means that he was picked from the start. So who chose him?
Do you suppose it might have been a choice between first black president, first female president? Somebody had to make the choice.
No, I'm
Holy shit!
yeah,
He's a
my
fast
bad.
talking motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know.
No,
There's
you've
something
been.
going on
It's
with my
fine.
camera.
You've been lagging the whole time, and it
Yeah,
finally caught
and then
up.
all of a sudden it decided to catch up all at once. It was like,
That's crazy.
He got what Gibbs got, bro, for real.
I gotta fix this. I'm probably gonna have to restart my whole computer.
Can I? Because
But
I know we've been drilling real talk for a minute. I wanted to ask Kraut a couple of questions. So in light of the understanding that Real Talk gave to me about the voters, not necessarily the leaders, but the people doing the voting. Okay. We know that on the Democratic side, a lot of Southern blacks moved north. Okay. This is just something that became common because they were being treated very poorly in the South. Jim Crow laws were starting to come into effect in the early 1900s, and then throughout the the 40s and 50s, a lot of racism happened. The 60s, of course, the civil rights movement happened. The federal government moved in, and do you see the connection with the voting for certain politicians and the way that those politicians legislate and rule on things and execute in the executive branch? Do you see the connection with the voters and their voting habits within the Republican Party in order to implement what they believe is, according to Real Talk and many people on the left, it seems to be a base of voters that, quite honestly, act racist? Do you see the connection with the voters?
Yeah, I can see the connection. And real quick, I just want to say another reason why the South started leaning towards the Republican Party, the GOP, is because they believed in pro-life, and the Democrats back then, and they still are pushing pro-choice. That's just another reason. I just wanted to give real quick. I wish I would have remembered that with the other examples I gave of why the South started leaning towards the GOP. But Clay, can I ask you to be more concise in the question you just asked me?
Yeah, sure. So trying to find it right here because I just had it pulled up. Particularly Nixon's platform of, I believe it was Law and Order he ran on as well.
It was.
That appeal to a certain base who wants laws implemented in a certain accord or a certain fashion, does that connect with certain voters who on the state level begin to legislate a certain way? Because, like, here's the thing, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say that I'm a base voter. I'm in the Democratic Party. I'm a Southern Dixiecrat, if you will. And I say to my neighbors, like, hey, there's this guy who's running on Law and Order. Now we all know that the Democratic Party ain't voting the way that we want anymore, because they've pretty much implemented civil rights throughout the rest of the country. It's reached our state. The black voters that are from the North have essentially infiltrated the federal government, and now the Democratic Party is more or less compromised. But Law and Order still is a way to get certain laws and policies implemented as we move forward with keeping our block clean, if you will. Let's just call it that. We want to keep our city, quote unquote, clean. And the only way we can do that is if we vote this guy in who's for Law and Order, because Law and Order doesn't necessarily mean morality. As we know, certain laws can be absolutely immoral You know, so if a guy's saying law and order, well, okay, I'll just implement my own laws as long as he's in the executive branch. Do you see that connection now?
Are you asking that people started voting Republican because Reagan was going off law and order? Or are you insinuating he's saying it just for a minority, law and order against a certain minority?
Law and
And
order,
that's why
as you pick and choose. You can pick and choose what law and order is, because here's the thing, right? We know that there's the federal code, we know that there's the state statute, and then we know that there's the ordinance. And the ordinance is like tickets and things, right? The statute is the actual laws that you will go to jail for. So if it's an ordinance in a certain county, right? The tickets will be hammered on a certain block harder than a different block, because we're going to put a bunch of cops in a certain area, the inner city, rather than having them patrol out in the rural areas where there happens to be a certain demographic in each area. Do you understand now?
I do. And I guess they can correlate that, but I don't know exactly everything that Reagan ran on, but like I said, Nixon picked up some of Reagan's talking points, including law and order, but he also picked up during the strategy of smaller government. I believe tough on crime was one of them. Well, the law and order, I guess they would be the same thing. More of a Christian
It was
based.
just a Trojan horse for Bush, straight out.
Trojan horse. Thank you very much. Perfect, Ben. Yes. So, like, here's the thing. I understand that the politicians aren't openly racist, like Ben puts it, on the Republican side, but the base
The people
is.
are. Yeah, the people are.
Yeah.
Like,
Unfortunately.
Even Malcolm X said, like, look, Ben jokes, and I don't know about the fucking grinder shit, but Ben jokes.
Dude, that is an actual fact. When the Republican National Convention,
I
whatever
believe it.
town it's in, grinder numbers go off the chain. That is
I
an
believe it.
actual legitimate fact.
Where are you getting those statistics from?
Republicans are openly
I will get
racist,
it for you, Ant.
and liberals are closeted racist. And even Malcolm X said, "Beware the liberal white
My
man.
phone is dead right now.
They're not your fucking friend." I'm not going to deny that you might have some politicians in the Republican Party that are racist, and obviously they're not going to come out right and say it, because that's going to destroy the voter bloc. But I believe 80 or 90% of Republican voters will tell you they only like white people, where probably 90% of liberals will tell you, even if they don't like black people, they'll say they like black people. Honestly, I think the only openly racist Democrats are fucking union workers. They'll tell you straight up. But besides that, liberals are fucking, they won't admit to them being racist. They're a snake in the fucking grass, bro.
Well, I do have a question from pilled.net from Salty Old Fart.
Ooh, what's up, Santa?
He would like to know, if Trump was historically a Democrat, what did he know about Democrats when he ran as a Republican and scared the Dems?
Well, what he did know was that he stated, and this was in an interview while he was hanging out with with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. He said, if I was ever going to run as a president, I would run as a Republican. I would just do it as a businessman and a Christian, and everybody would vote for me. Fucker said that and then did it. And everybody's like, oh, he's a Republican. He like.
Also, I got to
He is the
point
leader
out,
of the Republican Party.
Hold on one second. Donald, do you have a thought on that?
I mean, he became the leader of the Republican Party the same way that, other, leaders become part of the Republican Party. He led into some of their interests. He talked about things that they liked. including saying inflammatory things against immigrants and other people that doesn't look American or have names that are American. So yeah, I mean, he just fed into some of the vices of some of the more extreme voters.
So I have a question. What exactly is it about the Republican platform itself that is inherently racist?
Well, hold on, Ant. Let's finish that. Anybody have any other thoughts on the question from pilled.net?
And here you go, Ant. Here is data from the RNC convention reveals a substantial documented surge in local Grindr app usage and traffic. This recurring spike, often dubbed the Grindr Super Bowl on social media.
Okay, that's just
From
something
Facebook.
saying it's happening, and the source is Facebook. Like, what's an actual source for the statistics?
Oh, let's see here.
There we go. It was one in 2016, then another 8 years later.
The 2024
I mean,
Milwaukee RNC, the 2016 RNC.
I would expect Facebook definitely to have that data, though. In all seriousness,
I wouldn't
Here-
trust.
Let's
Well, I'd
see
have to see
here.
where
We got
the-
it
the
on
data
numerous.
is,
We
but-
got it on a bunch of news sources, quite a few news sources, including
iHeart.
I don't know if I'd call.
I thought
So
Grindr themselves posted that information.
I also thought that that's where it originally
Vice.
came from.
Even so, even if it's true, let them have it. Like it doesn't
It's-
matter at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Well, yeah, it's one of these things. It's like correlation is not causation. It's like, okay, great, you have a
Well,
correlation. You showed it 2 years.
It's a joke. It's a joke, though, Ant. You're like trying
Yeah.
to like fucking
Except
deeply.
I keep
inspect a
hearing
joke.
it stated like it's a fact. I mean, it's
But
a
it
joke.
is a
That
fact.
is a
That-
fact. That's part
well,
of the joke. That is a
the-
fact. It's part of the joke. It doesn't really necessarily mean I'm being scientific. It's a joke, bro.
Well,
Well-
to be fair, and the RNC happens. That was an 8-year gap because of presidential elections, right?
Okay, but there's been presidential elections in years between 2020.
Yeah, but they didn't have the RNC presidential convention because there wasn't a primary that year.
Are you proving the
I don't know if
rule?
they don't
Ant?
have a. Do they not have a convention anyways? I thought they still had like
Ant.
a rally for funding.
Are you proving the rule by making sure that we understand that they're closeted?
I don't care one way or the
Ant
other. I'm
has
just
a
curious,
lovely
like,
wife.
where this comes from.
Ant has a
Because-
lovely wife.
Well,
And
that don't
because-
mean shit.
Because
Look at
never
McCready.
and where it comes from, Ant, is Democrats don't get busted for being secretly gay, but
But they
Republicans
usually
do
don't try
on
to
a
make it a secret.
fairly regular basis. So then the easy joke is that Democrats are openly gay and secretly racist because you got Joe Biden and people like that still doing crazy racist shit. And then the Republicans are openly racist and secretly gay. It's a joke, bro. It's not even my joke. It's Kurt Metzger's.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that funny.
Well, I
that's,
do.
that's your problem, not ours.
Okay,
think it's
fair.
kinda
I'm just
funny.
saying, it's like as a joke, it just where's the punchline? You know, it's got a setup, but the punchline's kind of meh.
Look, I
So then I guess the
you're
panel
saying
would
You're
agree.
gay, and it's like cool. Welcome to the internet 30 years ago.
Like, dude,
So
the Democrat Party doesn't have people like Denny Hasser who get caught in an entire ring of PDF
No,
files
they have people
with young
getting
boys.
filming
They do that
themselves
shit
having
openly, right?
butt sex on the Senate floor.
Like
You
the
know,
Democrats do it openly, right? But the Republicans regularly get busted for doing this kind of
I-
shit,
Yeah, but yeah,
right?
okay,
Secretly.
okay. That's because there's a lot of conservatives and a lot of conservatives are Christians.
So,
and
so
not
the
well
Republicans
looked
are
upon to
also
be
just as
homosexual
gay,
in
but
this
they're
group.
secretive about it, right?
But there are
You
open
can build 100 bridges, but you suck one dick.
That's right.
I know, right?
You're gay. No, it's. I think this was from that fucking that fat comedian guy, where you can paint 100 pictures, but you might not be an artist. You suck one dick, and you're automatically gay.
Yeah.
Your qualifications have now been met. That it's real low bar on the qualifications on that one.
Well, that's the thing, though. Is that's a matter of sexual orientation. If you're forced into giving fellatio to someone of the same sex,
Well,
that don't
forced.
make you homosexual. That just
Forced,
means you have a
that's
survival instinct.
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement, though, when it comes to the voters, that it seems to be obvious that there's definitely a switch that happened, that those Southern Dixiecrats preferred law and order over the thing that was happening on the left, which was the civil rights.
So I assume you're asking me, and I'll answer your question in two parts. I have never denied that racist people from the South switch over to the Republican Party. My two things are, there's no evidence to just suggest they did that because they're racist. Because if we got to follow, let's say the party switch actually happened, why would racist Democrats go to the Republican Party, who at that time were the racists? That shit does not compute.
So law and order, okay? Remember, law and order doesn't necessarily mean morality, right? So if I'm a racist son of a bitch, and you tell me that I have governorship over this swath of land, okay? I have governorship over this swath of land, but you're going to sit at the top as king. I'm the racist son of a bitch, right? You say, as long as you vote for me. I say, yes, I vote for you. You are my king. I'm the racist son of a bitch. I'm going to make the ordinances, and I'm going to send people to the... Go ahead.
I just want to make it a little bit more direct. Like, imagine the whole media apparatus labeling every time you heard the word criminal, every time you heard the word thug, every time you heard the word vagrant, it was an image of somebody that looked like me. So every time you seen or heard that word, the first thing that popped in your head was somebody that didn't look necessarily like you. When a politician...
Hold on. I got to interrupt you. Because that's not fucking true.
It's
no, it's not fucking true.
So in the 70s,
the
80s,
first person,
every
wait a
time
minute,
you seen
the first person
negative...
that comes into my mind right now that does not look like you is a president of the United States. What did you just say?
Hold on.
Criminal.
Spin. Stop. Go ahead, Donald. Stop.
I'm just saying there were certain images put out there by entities like the CIA and stuff like that on purpose, because they also put out images of the hippies and stuff like that and put negative connotations to the hippies too. But they also targeted black individuals and added that label onto them on purpose because they knew that they had this plan to add that label and put that onto a political platform. So when they say tough on crime, we're going to lock up these thugs. Come on,
right?
Bro.
So even just having that mustache right there, Spin, right, and having the glasses could label you as someone less desirable on a platform, right? Because you're look, and you roll around too. That also, right? The idea of you being othered because of just simple differences. And not necessarily iniquities, or disabilities, but because you look different. So what Real Talk is talking about is literally just the fact that I've got long hair. I would be in the 70s portrayed as probably a trafficker. I would be like labeled enemy number one because I would look like a trafficker. So would Ben. So would Kraut right now because he's got a beard, just the beard, right? The mustache. Having a mustache was taboo back in the 70s. Now we're in 2026.
Unless you're a porn star.
It should have been taboo.
I think the beards are coming back. I'm happy that the country's coming around on that, but particularly deeply melanated skin in the 70s and in the 80s, and then especially because when it and this is just true story here. You look at NWA, right? And why that even got started in the rap industry, and why that even got started, because specific individuals saw that this was not just like the whole badass image, right? Which I think was growing in popularity in of itself, but particularly because it was rebellious. It was deemed as rebellious, not just because it was like thuggery, but because of a particular demographic. It was seen as rebellious. And why? If you look at somebody and you say, that's the image of rebellion, what are you doing? You're literally othering them.
Yeah, I just got through having this conversation with a friend of mine. We went from the 60s. I look at news videos from the 60s and stuff, and I'm amazed by how many of my black leaders are in these news on, you know, prime time, having debates, political debates about, you know, societal factors and stuff like that. I'm seeing black people in the 60s having these debates, and I fast forward to like 80, like the NWA era. The only representation that I see is a negative connotation, and I think that was planned and on purpose.
You don't think that the NWA was also planned and on purpose?
Yes, I
said
do.
yeah.
And I think certain
Nice.
aspects, I think the certain
Nice.
aspects of hip hop was put in front of a lot of people for a reason. Now,
Manufactured.
I think the message of NWA and what they got together to actually do was overall a positive message, because all they want to do is tell their story and put it out there to the world, and you know, just tell the reality of the hood at that time.
You can't assume that in any way. This was something that was put into the black community in order to put the black community down 100%.
Yeah,
They made
for sure.
this was a tail wagging the dog situation. This wasn't a general black community situation. This was a fucking Southern California, which it's still just an absolute shithole dump, and it's not just the black people, it's everybody. You don't go to fucking Oakland for a reason. You don't go to Compton for a reason.
Yeah.
That's hard to say because
from New York.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's debatable, but hip hop started in New York and it made it over to the West Coast some type of way, right? So it was kind of growing in the black community.
Hip hop as compared to gangster rap. Gangster rap started in California. I'm old enough, bro, and I come from a mixed family. My family listened to fucking Bobby Brown and hip hop and all that kind of shit. That was entirely different. Even when it moved up to guys like Tone Loc and Young MC, you can't fucking compare Mama Said Knock You Out with fucking gangster rap.
Well, gangster rap, if I'm correct, it was started in Compton, California.
Yeah, it was later. Rap started much sooner than gangster rap.
It depends on what you want to call gangster rap, because if it's just a gangster rapping, then by
we're talking about it went from, you know, sure,
MC
like I said,
Hammer
Mama said
gangster rap.
Mama said knock you out and lyrics like that. They still had shit in them. Then all of a sudden it went to fucking 2 Live Crew and Eazy-E and NWA and shit. These were nothing like that. It's all about killing and slinging drugs and sleeping with every girl you can. It was an entire shift of the culture, and you saw the culture itself follow that propaganda.
Yes, and that shift kind of collaborated with the introduction of, you know, a certain Rocky material, and
yes, I was just in
high pressured,
which also was the government.
Yeah, and high pressured metal thingies that hurt people from a distance.
Yes.
Those were 2 things that were introduced to these communities, I think, around the same era, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no. Okay. So if you look at your history, bro, the way it worked was before that, like the Black Panthers, they always were armed, but they were smart about it, and they got tricked into going into an incorrect area armed in the courtrooms. They tricked them to going into this area armed that they shouldn't have been in armed.
It was not their fault. So the crack epidemic was set into place in order to disempower communities that were starting to empower themselves 100%. And all that was flushed through Mena, Arkansas, through Bill Clinton under his governorship, and all the things that happened there. It was wonderful, right?
Well, I'm not sure about the Bill Clinton connection, but
I don't know about
do
it.
Where
either.
did you think the cocaine came from?
What you say?
It was the Clinton-
Bolivia, Colombia.
Well, that's what I'm
Well, it all
saying.
came
From
through Mena,
what I read,
Arkansas. They made a movie about it. It had Tom Cruise. I don't know why everybody acts like.
Oh,
I'm a conspiracy
they made a
theorist.
movie about it.
Yeah.
Must be true. So Star Wars is
Well,
true?
no, it
Yeah.
was already
Actual
true.
story?
It's just the fact that I would think that y'all would have fucking heard about it since it's been a movie about
Oh,
it with Tom Cruise.
I've heard
The
about
rest
it.
of
I
us
mean-
knew about that long ago.
So let
I
me
know
just
about
be very clear.
Okay.
Let me be very clear about gangster rap. In 1988,
Mhm.
NWA out of Oakland, California was found. And their rise was straight out of Compton.
It will never
then-
not be. Oh, sorry.
BTH, or Bone Thugs and Harmony, was founded in Cleveland, Ohio, and then transitioned to LA.
Hmm.
And the other notable was Young Guns. They were founded in 1998, and many of the reference or fictional of affiliations, quote unquote, to C or B.
Do we really have a
It would
problem? with
never
Bone
not
Thugs
be
and
funny
Harmony?
to me that the very first rap performance on MTV was by a white woman.
Yeah, I'm not
And here's the
surprised.
funny part: Ice-T was early West Coast artist who popularized the gangsta label in the 1980s.
Yeah, that was Colors when he dropped that song Colors, and
I remember that.
that was a big
And
I
track
just want
in,
to touch
in
on
New York.
something.
What movie
Ben-
did they use that for?
Barry
that the name of the
Seal.
movie?
I know exactly what the fuck you're
was it,
talking about. He played. It was under
Boys in
Reagan.
the Hood?
That maybe that was it. Sorry, Jody, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Yes, Raised in the Hood.
Raised in the Hood.
But do we really have a problem with Bone Thugs and Harmony over here? Like, I don't think they're that.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! It's the first of the month.
Dude,
Come on.
what I'm saying, bro, is that everything we're talking about right now is all propaganda that the government pushes through the system, and all the choices that each of these cultures make and the little clashes that they have and all of this bullshit, all of it was pushed every single time. Like I said, when you had part of it with the Nixon thing, Nixon said the anti-war movement was very heavy and they needed to get rid of the anti-war figures. So they said if we heavily criminalize cannabis, then we can go ahead and turn the populace against the N-words and the hippies or the cannabis users, and we can highly criminalize it and get them put away and take away their voting. So that way the war candidates are going to be able to win. All of these things are pushed, and the rap thing was pushed inorganically into the black community. And suddenly most of the black community did not act that way. That was something in an isolated area. And if you still go to those shitholes like Oakland, it's still a just dump in an isolated area.
Cypress
I hear you,
Hill.
but I don't think hip hop itself was created by, or I think it was.
Do you think there's any such thing as a mainstream organic artist, or do you think that the record labels and the radio stations are the ones that make people a hit?
Little from column A, a little from column B.
Oh, of course, it's got to be. It's
I
got to
think-
be acceptable. Although there's the whole debate that things are 3 notes now for a reason, and everything's repetitive for a reason. Because
Yeah,
it's acceptable range.
Ed
That's-
Sheeran Ed
like
Sheeran
any
proved that.
garbage,
Ed
any
Sheeran
garbage
proved
in
that.
there.
He got sued and then proved it on stage that those 3 chords are literally every pop song.
Yeah. And they're like,
Well, I
so it
mean,
could be just garbage, and people are like, that's the good stuff.
Here's a strange fact. Cypress Hill.
Okay, don't talk shit about Cypress Hill though.
I'm not talking shit. It was 2 white guys.
Yeah. And
They were founded in Southgate. I don't know where the hell that is, California.
South.
Well, here's the
I
thing,
think-
Spin,
I think-
on that, right? So
I think
that's
southern San Francisco.
that's exactly what I was saying earlier about how the othering happens, right? It's not that
Yes.
every single black man is the problem. It's that anything other than that prim and proper.
No, it's in Los Angeles.
And so, look, primarily the focus is what? And then you have secondary focus. If you are racist minded, right? Obviously, you don't want what's obvious. You don't want that there. But then there's also any connection, anybody who's agreeing that should be there. So the long-haired hippie guy saying, you know what? I got some black friends who I really don't want to fucking see anything bad happen to them. You know, that's also I've got to go too.
true.
And it's still racism.
And that's what I'm saying. In today's date, nobody is being obviously racist. It's you have to look at some of the. You have to always read in between the lines, especially where I come from. It's not like they just gonna just say it right in front of me or anything like that. But they do make these little actions. Or back when I have mixed kids. Back when I was dating interracially, it would be in a state like Southern Mississippi. It was pretty obvious at that point when I would go around. So yeah.
So I put this super chat up on the screen,
Fucking ain't right, Lyndon.
and I'd like to have the panel's thoughts, because we are talking about politics and propaganda and stuff like that. So I'm going to start off.
Also,
with,
Donald, I apologize. I don't know how I got back onto you. I
Kraut.
let Clay dig into Kraut, and then it somehow moved back to you. And Kraut, I got something for you.
We'll put a pin in it for just a second. Kraut. Lyndon Ford 25 says music is used to program people just like the TV is. Do you have a response? Yes or no?
Yeah, I do actually. It's one of the
Okay.
reasons why I got a problem with Led Zeppelin being my favorite band, because there's definitely some subliminal shit of rock music. Whether or not it's Satanism, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, music definitely has a program aspect to it, like obey me type shit, like they live type thing. You know, if anybody ever seen that movie with Roddy Piper, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Real talk.
The rowdy.
Do you have
one.
any thoughts?
Yeah, I think music and media in general can be used to manipulate and put certain thoughts into people's heads, of course. And I think that is happening specifically in some areas of my community and others. So yeah, I can agree with that, including the TV thing.
Mr. Balderson?
That is the only thing that music and mainstream music and mainstream TV are allotted. The only resurgence that we've seen in real music and real entertainment has been since the internet, where people who can actually get past the gatekeepers and do things without being the person or in the in club, that those people can actually be heard. A good example would be like Oliver Anthony, where this is just a little yutz that nobody's ever heard of, that's doing real simple music and did a heartfelt song about the world that they live in, and a bunch of people resonated with it, and the dude took off, even though he was not allowed on the radio stations and in the places. That's only in today's world that can happen. But historically, anything in the actual mainstream media, if you're not spitting their propaganda, It's been proven over and over again. They will drum you right out of the fucking business. You don't get to be on their movie sets if you're not pushing their propagandas. And that's the way that this has always worked. So this is also why I don't listen to that crap. And it's not just your community. It's not just your community, Donald. This goes into like, you think like that small town song where try that in a small town shit like that's not also propaganda to try and drum up the fucking war between the different classes and between the fucking Democrats and Republicans and bullshit like that. It all is. If it's in the mainstream, it's propaganda meant to push you.
Sure. Mr. Pero, any thoughts?
Well, absolutely. I think frequencies do a lot. So much so that I've got a frequency wave generator sitting right here on my desk that I use regularly. All kinds of frequencies you can use to in relations to health issues. Your music scale, the music scale is got added note to it. In reality, real music doesn't hold all of the frequencies that we use in music.
Sure.
Things like
Mr.
that.
Clay.
So there are a lot of frequencies we need to pay attention to, and music is one of them. I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Pero. Mr. Clay.
Yeah, so I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah, this is philosophy right here. Okay. Music pertaining to the muse. That's what it means. So if you understand what a muse is, you really understand philosophy. So goodness. They used to call them the Band of Merry Men. They'd come to your town. Nowadays they call them the Troubadour or Ed Sheeran, for that matter. And they'd come to your town and they would play for you, and they'd play a beautiful melody, and you would pay them, and you'd pay them, and you'd pay them, and throw more money on the stage, and then they would leave, and then you would be sitting there all in your emotions, and then you'd look down and you'd have no food, you'd have no money in your pockets, and you've been taken, and you are a broke fool now. But that is the way of the world. And this is exactly what music is meant to do. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Ant.
So now I know two things about Clay. He hates boobies and he hates music.
What?
The time that you flipped out about breastfeeding in public.
When I said that my woman shouldn't be showing other men her titties. Yeah.
It's Clay. It's just a joke.
It's weird.
Oh, now Ant gets jokes.
Ant can create.
You would rather, of course, I get jokes.
Not everything he can take a joke, but he can't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can take a dick though too, can't you?
Oh my God!
Tell me about that. I have no experience.
Well, hey, look, man, you're the one not talking about no titties. But yeah, the music.
No, I'm not.
Go ahead. No, I love. I love music.
Of course, music is inspiring. That can be a good way to deliver a message to people. But as far as some sort of secret mind control programming through the music, that's just paranoid nonsense. Sorry.
And Mr. Jody.
Fucking El Pero killing me, bro.
So I'm not gonna go deep the way that Balderson and Clay went. I definitely do.
Your wife.
I definitely believe that there's vibrations to certain music. Like when you're feeling sad, you want to listen to sad music, right? When you're happy, you want to listen to happy music. When you're working out, you want to get fucking pumped up. Do I think that there's some sort of programming to that? I think it's more biological than some systematic, gotcha, bitch. I don't know, conspiracy that is programming your mind. I think it's more your body is reacting to the vibrations of the music and your emotions. And that's all I got.
Ant's over there dancing to what you were saying. It's music to his ears.
And whoever said, and fuck you, Spin. You fucking put on that, you shaved your head just for this fucking chat.
Hey,
Yeah, I know.
I've been meaning to ask you guys because I know I forgot I didn't get an answer the last time I was on a panel like this with you guys. I've been meaning to look this up. Donald Trump is passing something or is trying to implement something where the government can prevent a crime before it happens. I've been seeing that float around some places.
Goddamn pre-crime. Oh, that
Is
shit's so
is
bad.
that a real thing?
So bad, dude. They've been
No.
flirting with pre-crime for a while, and with him coupled with Palantir and with things like the flock cameras and shit. Oh yeah, all about pre-crime, dude. All
Yeah, it's
about
fucking
pre-crime.
scary.
I've just been hearing like words of that kind of floating around, but I haven't seen anything like presented in Congress or anything like that. So I'm just like, is there an executive order that's about to flop on the ground, or
Wouldn't
the hell
matter
is-
if there was, because there's no laws for arresting people that the probability says may commit a crime in the future. Like the laws don't support that at all. So the executive branch issuing an order to executive agencies to enforce a non-existent law will accomplish nothing.
You know,
Not
Ben
to,
is going to kill me.
Not to skirt, but I've been
Ben is
waiting,
gonna kill
and
me.
I'm. Oh god.
You know, Ben, you have fucked with me yesterday pretty hard, put real bad fucking images in my head. And today
Listen,
you
it is
busting
not
my
my fault that
balls.
the Catholic fucking the high 2D2 Catholic guy was kissing the skull as he put it in the statue and then parading it in front of the people. My people didn't do that.
So for putting bad images
weirder
and
stuff.
fucking with me and in my head, we're gonna take a grift break.
God damn it.
We are taking a grift break.
None he paid.
Wrong channel, Nunny. Wrong channel.
You don't even have people over there. You gotta get people over there that are donating.
Well, if I could do a grift break, you'd shut up. I'll get people over there, gentlemen.
Before your grift break, here's somebody that already paid money. Nunny, without being strong-armed, gave $5, said, I don't care. The best music is from the movie Oh Brother. That was a great fucking music in that movie. Oh Brother, where art thou? A man of constant sorrow and in the jailhouse now.
I did like the In the Jailhouse Now rendition. The Man of Constant Sorrow got played out. It was like that Nelly and Tim McGraw song that got played over and over again, and literally like for the next 6 months that song played. But Sorrow, Man of Sorrow was literally just like the same thing over and over again, over and over. I hated that song now.
So since we've been streaming for 2 hours, thank you, Nunny. Wrong channel, but we'll forgive you this time. And the only way I can get back at Mr. Balderson is to do a grift break.
On the perfectly right channel. Don't listen to this.
Mr. Kraut, tell them what these fuckers need to do, or we're gonna go away.
Yeah, donate the money. I think we're having a good time. Plus, after the grift, Ben is going to dig into me, and I'm eager to see if I have an answer for Ben. He's quite educated, though I have realized he's been wrong about 1 or 2, 3 times. But yeah, donate some bread. I already donated before the stream even started because I was late. Motherfuckers are bleeding me dry, man. Blood, sweat, tears every fucking day. Donate the money.
Donald, tell them what they need to do.
Donate the money. My bad. My camera ain't up right now, but support the stream. Do whatever you can to support these guys.
Appreciate it. El Perro, help me out, man.
Man, you guys better donate, help these guys out. Otherwise, I'm calling ICE, and you know what ICE does. They don't care if you're American or not. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Clay, they're making the angry American the angry American.
Sir, that is not their problem. That is your problem. But anyway, yeah, Spin just got monetized, guys. In all seriousness, Venmo, Cash App, that works better, but he did just get monetized. So if you would like to continue to support the show, Spin's channel, Spin City News, is the place to do the dono. Because if you do not, then we will go away. And this was actually a decent conversation up here so far. I think the guys did okay with the debate. Okay. Obviously we can all use some improvement. Pay for my Spurg.
Oh Lord. Aunt. Oh, Aunt. Help me.
Do you see all these little mouths that have to feed me? You could be one of them, bringing me little morsels of donations for Spin, so that he keeps doing shows. He keeps inviting me on to torture Clay and others. Or you could even just pay to have. Oh,
oops, sorry.
You're fine. I was just gonna say, or you could just pay to have me put in the back for a few minutes to get sick of my shit.
Ant bites.
And Jody, tell these fuckers what they need to do.
Yeah, all jokes aside, seriously, guys, Ben, for Spin, this is a big deal. I know all you guys are probably on other channels, but go follow him and send some donos for only 69 cents a month. You can become a member.
99 cents, dumbass. Mr. Balder says, well, you know what? I'm skipping you because I know what you're going to do. Well, fuck it. Do it.
It is Spins. He's dying to get his first dono, his first super chat. I get it. I'll forgive him for this nonsense this time. He's dying to get it. He should get to see that on his thing. That'd be nice for him. Don't let him try and fool you into thinking that donating to me is not going to be beneficial for it and keep the show going, though. He's crazy, being cracked about that. But somebody somewhere should definitely give him throw some shekels at him. He can't duck or weave very well. You'll be able to hit him. He's in a wheelchair.
Uh-oh, we lost real talk.
Uh-oh.
What if instead of shekels, we just put like bottles all around his wheelchair and give them rings?
So I am at 60.
You know what? Somebody pay $1 so I could put his ass in the back.
I'm at 16% on my laptop. So Ben, I know you had a question for me. Hopefully, I can give you a correct answer. That
Plug it
goes
in.
into my world frame.
Plug it in.
Plug it in.
Yeah, what are you doing having the primary person in the debate and then you're trying to not plug your shit in? What the fuck are we doing right now?
Oh, we've been
Rookie hour right here?
No, we've been streaming.
He's the New Jersey reject. They rejected his application for power in his house.
You're not even in gauntlet time yet. What the fuck you think you're doing?
All right, well, I'll join.
You don't have plugins out there in your house in the city?
I'll join back up on my phone when my laptop guy dies. Go ahead and ask you my
Wait a minute. He has to go sit in his car so he can charge his laptop because they cut his power off. You know, half of New Jersey rejects, they get cut off the grid. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you were there.
You don't think that Republican platitudes of pull yourself up by the bootstraps and things like that and trying to pull the social safety nets away from those communities without then providing them with the ability to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, i.e., if you've ever been down to any hood or ghetto or any low-income neighborhood, you'll find that there isn't ready work around that neighborhood. Those are usually the inner city for a reason, and it's the outer city is where the good manufacturing jobs are. All those kind of things are all almost exclusively outside of the city. So when the Republicans are claiming that that they're doing okay for these people. Do you find it a problem that they don't provide the jobs to let these people actually do the things they tell them that they should do?
You're talking about these urban centers that have been under Democrat leadership for the better part of a century?
I wasn't talking to you, Ant.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't talking to Donald either.
yeah, I believe that is a problem, but Ant actually just brought up a good point. I actually got notes on that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we should definitely have jobs available for every type of American. But that's why, and I think like 20 or 30% of conservatives do have some socialist ideas, like they believe in safety nets, like welfare and things like that, which again is a more left-leaning idea because you can only get that through social democracy that raises taxes for that exact reason. So it's not like all conservatives don't believe in things like that. But yeah, we should definitely have jobs for all types of communities, and the way we do that is by supporting local businesses and buying domestically, so the money stays in it. I don't know how to answer the question any better than that. I don't know if
No, you did
history.
good. You did good,
Yeah,
and I want to say before you bail like real fucking early on your on your second debate, the that you came much more well prepared, and you actually had an affirmative position this time, as opposed to last time you came in and under the affirmative, and then you're like, give me some things to fight, like, and you didn't lay your case out. This time you had a case to lay out, and I noticed.
No, I appreciate that.
Yes,
Well,
he
yeah,
did.
you
Did very
I
well,
got a
and you
question.
did your
I got a
homework like
question
I told
before.
you to do.
Yeah, you gave me
I
some.
told
I got a
hey
question
Ben, I told him you better do your homework.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, now, the one thing I would say is better memorize it. The bait's going to come off more smoothly if you. And this was actually to both of you. Is that if it would come off more smoothly if you actually had your positions readily on the top of your head. Find that you got to look at something to check things, like the other day against my debate with Clay. There's no way I can memorize what dates each of those books. I know what the books are. I've read all of them, but could I memorize what year they came out and all this different shit in what region? No. Like, so I wrote that kind of thing down, but then all I'm doing is glancing at my notes. I'm not sitting there for a minute digging through things. So have it more readily memorized next time.
Yeah.
It would be my only recommendation.
Yeah, and I get that. And when me and Spin finally had our debate on tariffs, yeah, I'll definitely have that, because tariffs and international trade are probably my strongest points. And I've been reading about tariffs for like the last 4 or 5 years, because I started reading about them when Trump mentioned them for his second term. I know he did them in his first term, but back in his first term, I really didn't pay attention to politics. I was just starting to get in them. I didn't even vote for that fucker. First time I ever voted for Trump was the 2020 or the 2019 or whenever the fuck it was. I get confused what the election years, like how seasons go, how they
2016.
Well, it's an oddity for a president to have lost at the incumbent and then won again after the incumbent. After that, it's a pretty odd thing to happen.
Yeah, I think that only happened 2 or 3 times when it comes to presidents. I think
I was thinking it was once. I can think of once, but I don't know if it happened more than that.
Can I ask
I
a
looked
question?
it up. It's rare, but it's
question before he leaves.
Well, I'm coming back to myself.
Speaking of your debate with Clay, y'all didn't even hit everything with when you and Clay did the debate.
I was not on the affirmative, sir.
Can I ask Kraut a question before he leaves?
Go ahead, brother.
all your
But
fault,
I'm
but go
coming
ahead,
back
buddy.
on my cell phone, but go ahead.
Why didn't you mention Senator Byrd?
I don't need to mention Senator Berg. He was a former KKK member, and when he tried to join the GOP, they shut that motherfucker down. I think that's
He was
common knowledge.
He was the longest serving senator in West Virginia history, and he never switched parties.
Yeah, no, like I said, well, he tried to. but the GOP shut him the fuck down. I think everybody knows that. So there really was no point of bringing him up. I tell you who I will bring up, because I forgot to during the actual debate, which I think is another reason why people believe in this myth, is because of Barry Goldwater. He was a
You can't call it a
Republican.
myth if you just conceded that it was true.
I never conceded it was true. It is a myth.
But you did concede to me that it was true
When
I asked you about those voters.
have I ever said voters turning to a different party was a myth, or did I say that the politician ideology was a myth that they switch?
So I went down. I mean, could do it again. I could go down the logic train again.
Hold up. Well, let me say my point, and then I'll let you go on your little Spurge tangent. Barry Goldwater was a Republican that supported the 57 and the 60s Civil Rights Act. He also helped desegregate. I forget what it was, like the I forget. He was for desegregation, and him supporting the 57 and 60 Act would support that. Now, the reason why he turned down the 64 is because he felt it was overreach on the federal government. He thought it would give the government too much power, and most conservatives and Republicans believe in small government. Again, like I mentioned 10 times, that's one of the reasons why the Southern strategy pulled in Democratic voters from the South, because one of their stands on that was smaller government. But that's somebody who I meant to bring up during the debate. It just slipped my mind. But go ahead, Clay.
Don't worry, I'm gonna fuck you real fast.
Mommy dinner, motherfucker.
Fuck that. I don't buy hose dinner.
Why are you all on about fucking guys tonight, Clay?
You want to find out?
I really don't.
Don't ask.
Go ahead, Clay.
Don't ask. We won't tell.
I did serve underneath.
did I know that was the next
the army.
You don't. Sorry.
So, would you say that voters who want specific laws implemented, would vote for the party that states that we're going to be about that law and order? And if the other party is saying we're going to, basically be kind of fancy free and we're not really going to do much in the way of, creating the laws or being about law and order, that party, those voters wouldn't vote for that party. Instead, they would vote. Hold on. Actually, let me ask you this question. Who controls the party?
Who runs Bartertown?
What do you mean, who controls the party?
Perfect, Ben. Who controls the party? So is it those people at the top, or is it the voter base?
Oh, man, I would want to say the voter base, because that's how it should be. But we don't have that kind of money to control the party how we should be controlling it and electing our officials. Money is what gets them elected.
So you'd say that if the voters don't show up to the voting block, that the party has no power?
I would like to assume so, but I would like to answer your original question, but I can actually cut it down real smooth. And I think I asked real talk during the actual debate. Do you think the Southern Democrats only joined the GOP because of law and order?
Absolutely. Yeah, those
No.
Dixiecrats. Yeah.